So something I want to explain is something that they call the the four quadrants. So we're going to be going over basically everybody that makes money, that works in the world. They find themselves in one of four categories. Okay, it's E, S, B, and I. Okay, we're going to go over each one of those things. And then you have the left quadrant and the right quadrant. Okay, and Robert Kiyosaki, in a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which, if you ask me, I can actually give you a link to an audio version of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. But it's an incredible book, and it's the book that really opened my mind to different ways that money works. When I was an employee, and then also when I was self-employed, when I started my own business as a nutritionist and I was self-employed, I thought I was on the road to riches. And I actually learned a few really valuable secrets in this book. It's called Rich Dad Rich Dad Poor Dad. And incredibly book is the #1 selling book on personal finance in history. But one of the things that he talks about in that book is everybody finds themselves in one of four quadrants. Okay? E is employees. Okay? So this is the majority of people are actually in the employee quadrant, okay? Which means you go to work, you have a boss, they tell you when to show up, they tell you how much you're worth, right, per hour in the job, and you get paid usually it's every month, right? So you get a monthly check, and then you're dependent on that monthly check in order to pay for your lifestyle, your bills, your family, your food, all of those things, right? And one of the defining things about being an employee is that you trade your time for money, okay? So you're trading your time in exchange for money, okay? So one of the dangerous things about being an employee, aside from the fact that you don't have any freedom, they tell you how much you can take off, how much you're worth per hour, and all of those things, right? And in Jakarta, people spend a couple hours in traffic every morning just to get to the office so that they can work all day and then spend a couple hours in the traffic on the way home. And they basically have no time, right? Because their money is dependent on time, right? And they have a boss that tells them what to do with their time. So here, as an employee, you have a boss, right? And they tell you how much you're worth per hour, when you can go to the bathroom, when you can go on holiday, all of those things. But the most important thing is that the money that you make is dependent on time, which means if you want to make more money, okay, this is the tricky part, you have to spend more time, which means you have to either work overtime or, unfortunately for most people, they have to work two jobs, 3 jobs. Especially when you're young, you can probably get away with one job, right? Because you just have to pay for your food, your transportation, things like that, right? As you have children, you get married, as you grow up, oftentimes your job is not enough to pay the income. So either both parents have to work or one parent has to get multiple jobs. Because in order to get money, right, you have to either work more hours or get an additional job, which means working more hours. So sometimes people decide they don't want to be stuck in a job anymore, okay? So they decide to move down here. And S means you're either a solopreneur, which means you have a business but you do it on your own, selling things on Instagram, things like that, or you're self-employed. Okay. Now, when I first started off as a business owner, this is what I did. I went from being an employee to deciding, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a nutritionist. I'm going to build my own business, right? But what I learned very quickly is that as a self-employed person, okay, because there's only one of you, okay, you're solopreneur, then what happens here is your income is still dependent on your time or your energy. Okay, so the amount of income that you can make is limited by the fact that there's only one of you, right? You can't clone yourself, and therefore your income is limited by the amount of time and energy that you can spend as a self-employed or a solo entrepreneur people. So in this box, a lot of people don't realize this can be doctors, lawyers, people that work in trade, people like that. And so people that are here, they may actually make a lot of this. They may actually make a lot of money, right? So if you're a doctor or a lawyer or somebody like that, you may be making a lot of money and you think, oh, I've made it, right? But here's the problem. What if something happens to you, right? And you can't work? Then you also can't get paid, right? So your income is tied to your ability to actually work, okay? And that becomes the real problem in this category, because if something happens to you, you get sick, you get into an accident, or someone in your family gets sick and you can't work, lots of different things can happen, right? Because life is complicated. Then you're in a situation where if you don't work, then you don't get paid. And so someone who has a lot of money can find themselves broke very quickly if something happens to them. They lose a house, a family member dies. There's just lots of things that can happen, right? So a lot of times these people think because they make a lot of money they have security, but they do not. This is not security, okay? Now, Robert Kiyosaki in his book says that this is 95% of people are on the left-hand side of the quadrant, and he calls this the poor. Okay? Now, by poor, he doesn't mean people that don't have money. Okay? That can be one. But by poor, he means you don't own your life. You don't own your time. Right? You're dependent on something else for your resources. Okay, and oftentimes these people that make a lot of money, okay, they may be rich in income, but they're poor in time, because their time is not theirs. They don't own their time because they're working by themselves. Okay, so they're poor in something here. As an employee, usually you're poor in income, right, and you're poor in time. Okay, so this is the left-hand side of the quadrant, okay? And what we try to teach people is that if you're on this side of the quadrant, this is called the rat race, right? Have you ever seen a hamster or a rat that runs on a wheel? Because there's no way to get out of this. You're stuck in the system, okay? The government creates jobs, and they want people to be in this system because then that's how they control individuals, right? So what we teach people to do is break free from dependence on another person and move into the right-hand side of the quadrant by becoming a B, which is a business owner. Okay? So when I was a nutritionist, technically I was a business owner, but I was more of a solopreneur. Okay? So by business, they mean basically a big business, right? Which means you have, I think he says 500 plus people that work with you or for you. Okay, now what we teach people to do is move over here. Okay, now it doesn't mean you necessarily get rid of your job right away, right? Most people start part-time, right? So this is the future. This is your fortune, right? This is where real wealth creation comes from. Over here you can be rich in money, but you cannot be wealthy because you're dependent on someone else, right? So if something happens, all of your money can be taken away. Here, what we teach people is to build sustainable income, sustainable wealth. And this is where real wealth creation comes from. The difference between being rich and wealthy is rich is just money, right? Money can come and go. Wealthy means you have income coming in that's not dependent on something external, and therefore you can actually stop working and the income keeps coming. Because what you do here is you build a team. So here, you build a team that makes money. Okay? So right here, over here, trade time for money. Over here, your money's dependent on time. Okay? Very similar. Here, your money's dependent on team. Okay? So that means that you can actually take yourself out of the equation and the money keeps coming. Okay? Now you have a sustainable income stream that does not rely on you in any way, shape, or form. Okay? Now, you need to train these people. You need to work on this, okay? So this is not something that happens overnight, right? If anybody tries to sell you a dream where you can make money really quickly, right? This is why people don't like MLM. This is why they don't like money games. It's because anytime you can make money really quickly, you can also lose it really quickly, right? People want to make six-pack abs really quickly. They want to lose weight quickly. They want to make money quickly. In this world, people want things quickly, right? Nothing that comes quickly is sustainable, okay? So you do need to invest your time. A lot of times you have to invest income or money in order to start the business in the beginning, and then you get the system. So you build a system, okay? And then your system makes the income. It's like building an ice cream maker, right? You build the ice cream maker. Once you've built the ice cream maker, all you do is then put in the ingredients and the machine creates the result, right? Over here, you have to make the ice cream by hand all the time, right? So it's dependent on you. Here, you build the system, you build the team, and then you leverage that to make income, okay? So this is the magical word, is leverage. Okay? In order to be wealthy, you need two things: leverage and residual income. Okay? This is where, when you hear people talk about passive income, this is where the idea of passive income comes from. It's residual income, which means you do something one time and you get paid many times. So, like in our business, because our product is highly consumable, which means people need to rebuy each month. If I meet a client once and we have a conversation and they get on the products and they love the products, which all of our customers do because our products are extraordinary. That's why it's important to have a product that is extremely high quality and it's highly consumable, right? If I'm selling watches, I get a customer. They buy one time, and then they don't come back for another 5 years. And they probably buy for someone else, right? That's like a one-time sale. That means I have to keep selling like you do over here. When you have a highly consumable product, what happens is they keep coming back, right? So you make the sale one time, and then they buy every month, and then you get the commission every single month. And then if you have lots of customers, now you've just built an income stream that doesn't need you anymore. Okay, so leverage means that if you have, for example, I work 60 hours a week, right? That's a lot of hours, right? Or I can get 10 people to work 6 hours a week, right? Or they call it 40-40, so you work 40 hours a week for 40 years, right? I think it's about 8,000 hours total over that time. But you could get a team of 20 people to work 10 hours a week, and you could get the same 8,000 hours in 2 years, right? So working smarter instead of harder, right? So in here, you build the business, you build a team, which is a system, and then you leverage off of that team in order to create income, right? And then by the nature of our business, it's residual, okay? So residual leveraged income equals wealth. This is how you create real wealth and real freedom. Okay? And we say freedom because your time is your own. That doesn't necessarily mean you're a millionaire or you have a ton of money, right? Which is also possible. But freedom means you own your time, you own your lifestyle. You're not dependent on anyone else. So in Indonesia, for example, which is where I run a lot of my business, the average Indonesian only makes about 300-400 rupiah, 3-4 million rupiah a month. Okay, so all you need is a business that's generating, let's say, 5 million rupiah a month, and you have complete freedom. right? Doesn't mean you're rich. We'll work on that, but you have freedom. And then what we do with that is we build real wealth, right? Because now you can spend time with your family. You can spend time doing what you love doing. You now have freedom back in your life, okay? And then, so this is this quadrant. And then the last quadrant is investing, okay? So this quadrant is really where you want to get eventually, but this is how you take money and you help money make money, okay? This is property investing, stock market investing, doing something where you're investing your money and you're having your money make you more money, okay? That's the ultimate. But the problem with this one is, whether it's real estate or stocks or anything, you actually need the money in the beginning in order to make more money. And oftentimes it's a lot of money, right? So if you want to buy a franchise, or if you want to build a franchise like I did in New Zealand, right? We built a franchise of wellness clinics. It was about $90,000 in either debt that I took from angel investors or whatever every single time I opened up a new business, right? So if that business failed, that's a huge problem, right? The beauty about network marketing is the investment is insanely low, right? 5 million, 10 million, something like that in order to start your business, and you can turn it into, millions of dollars, right, over time. And so I think it's the only industry that I know of in the world where an average person who maybe doesn't have a master's degree, they don't come from a great family, they don't come from money, they're not, they're a quote unquote average person that can go on to live an extraordinary lifestyle, become a millionaire, have complete financial freedom, because they learn how to build a team, they learn how to build a system. Right? This is why I love network marketing, and it's why I love mentoring people, because down here, right, there's a lot of wealthy people, but usually they come from money. So what we teach people here is build a team in order to make you money, and then ultimately you can take this money and then become an investor. Okay? So this is where you start becoming full circle. So on the right-hand side, this is the rich. Okay? Now, by rich, he actually means mindset. By rich, he means you understand that you need residual and leveraged income. You have the mindset to understand over here you're dependent on someone else and you'll never be free. So for him, rich is actually a mindset. Okay? And if you follow the system and you understand the principles, you'll become wealthy with money. Right? But at first, it takes the mindset, okay? So remember, the book is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Highly, highly, highly recommended. So anyway, in our mentoring program, our company is called STI Unleashed International, and what we do is we walk people through a process where we mentor them and we train them in how to understand the way money works, how to understand how to create personal freedom, how to understand how to build a team, how to understand how to become a leader and work on their own personal self so that they can learn how to build this, and over time they can have complete freedom and be wealthy. And for your average person, that's never gonna be possible for them because they don't understand this whole system and they don't have a mentor or a support community that helps them learn these principles over time. So anyway, if you're watching this video, that means that you've expressed interest in learning more about network marketing or learning more about our entrepreneurial training program. And so go back to whoever sent you this video and let them know that you're interested in learning more. And if it's me that introduced you to the opportunity, then please reach out to me, and I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about how to get started and how we move you from the left-hand side of the quadrant to the right-hand side of the quadrant and teach you to dream again and teach you a fail-proof system for, if you follow the system, that you can reach your dreams, and we can teach you to dream again and really create something for yourself and your family and your future. So God bless you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.